Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a B-movie review and I'll be having a look at Rise of the Gargoyles. So this is a made-for-TV movie starring Eric Balfour as the most unconvincing college professor you'll ever see. It's actually set in France and we have a prologue at the beginning of the movie where we see two workers sort of digging around in this kind of sort of some old tunnels and then uncover kind of a secret room where they could sort of find some artefacts and along with some kind of creature. Then we sort of cut to, I guess the main character, so played by Eric Balfour, I say, is this professor, and he's kind of this discredited professor who had sort of ideas on kind of creatures in sort of past mythology and whatnot. And his friend basically sort of says, oh, there's this, fantastic sort of like church with kind of secret bits in blah, 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 and they're going to investigate and find what turns out to be gargoyle eggs and decide to pinch a couple. Which of course pisses off the gargoyle, which comes after them and ultimately kills this woman who is his friend, and is she's possibly one of the worst physical actors I've seen. For example, she's going, you have that typical scene when the light and the torch sort of goes on and off, and you can clearly see her flicking the on and off switch and things like that. Ultimately, you've got the hero, I guess, played by Eric Balfour, teaming up with a couple of reporters and a kind of mad priest, ultimately to sort of try and take down this gargoyle that ends up sort of terrorising this sort of a particular area in France. What's the film actually like? Well, this is a bit of an interesting one because I think sometimes it actually benefits from reasonable CGI. So the actual creature effects here, I have to say, they do use a mixture between CGI and sort of practical effects. So more practical effects, for example, where you're kind of seeing like the claws and things like that, but sort of CGI shots when you're kind of seeing it from a bit more of a wider angle. And I have to say, it is cheaper CGI, but it doesn't look too bad, I've got to be honest. I think the creature design looks pretty decent. And, I've seen certainly worse CGI, so I actually thought the CGI was pretty decent for this kind of level of film. And the other thing I quite liked about it was some of the sets as well. So when they try to ultimately try and attack the creature on its own ground, they're kind of going into these sort of catacomb type places, and it looks really good, I have to say. So there's lots of again with the practical effects, like decomposing bodies and stuff there, which look pretty decent, and the actual set design I think looks really good. Now this film has one major problem for me, and it's just, I guess it's partly to do with the script, but there's so many like faults in kind of logic and things like that, and just really dumb things that happen in it. And I'll just take the opening, for example. So as I mentioned, you've got these two sort of workers. They're kind of seemingly just the two of them working in this sort of particular area of this church, and they get killed by the gargoyle. And then we're sort of told later on that they were killed in industrial accidents. But we hear that the gargoyle basically eviscerates these victims, and it looks like an animal attack. So if that's what he did to these guys, surely they wouldn't have just been put down as an industrial accident. And also when the kind of Eric Balfour and his kind of friend go into this sort of area, there's still like the guy's hat on the floor and stuff like that, and all the bits that he was carrying sort of spread over the floor. So they just haven't bothered to sort of clean up any of the kind of the body remains and things like that. So it's just stuff like that, and there's so much of it as you sort of go through the movie, and there's all these little really dumb things that happen. You just think, you end up spotting them, and you're kind of going through this movie and you're thinking, that's stupid. So it kind of takes away from what could have been a reasonable sort of low budget sort of TV movie. And I guess the other issue that I have is the acting. So obviously Eric Balfour, we see him in a lot of these kind of like low budget films. Now he's not necessarily a bad actor as such, but I don't think he particularly has got quite the chops to pull off a kind of professor. Out of all of them, he's certainly the best actor. The rest of the cast, however, deliver their lines in a pretty unconvincing manner. One other kind of quite amusing thing as well, it's obviously meant to take place in France, but you'll have some people speaking French sometimes, but they'll be speaking English for sort of no apparent reason. And then there's a section where they listen to the radio, and bear in mind we're in France, but they're speaking in English in a French accent and stuff like that. So it was a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest with you. The effects and stuff I think are probably better than the average kind of TV movie, which maybe you know, give it some plus points. But just the whole dumb sort of storyline and that kind of thing, unfortunately, took it down. So I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of 10. What do you think of it? Leave me a comment. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.